What if I told you that the biggest obstacle between you and the life you want is not your past, not your circumstances, and not the people around you, but a version of you that refuses to step aside? Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a man who wakes up every morning with the same dream burning inside him to start something of his own, a business, a project, a new life. He watches others succeed and thinks, if only I had their luck, their confidence, their resources. But the truth is, he does have something. He has a voice inside him, a loud one, and that voice says, not yet. You're not ready. What if you embarrass yourself? What if you fail? What if people laugh? So what does he do? He postpones his dream for a day, then a week, then a year, until the dream becomes a memory. And here's the painful part. Nothing in his life actually stopped him. Not money, not time, not opportunity. The only thing holding him back was the version of himself he refused to outgrow. Napoleon Hill believed that a person's greatest battle is not with the world, but with the limitations of their own identity. And until you outgrow the old identity, the fearful one, the doubtful one, the hesitant one, you will never be able to step into the life meant for the next version of you. Because growth doesn't begin when life changes. Growth begins when you change. You see, the moment you realize that your greatest enemy is the person you used to be, something powerful begins to shift inside you. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but quietly, like a door unlocking somewhere deep in your subconscious. Because here's the truth. Most people think they're fighting life. They think they're fighting obstacles, competition, the economy, their past. But the real battle, the one Napoleon Hill spoke about, is a battle that happens behind your own forehead. It's the battle between the you who wants to rise and the you who is terrified of leaving the familiar. Think about it. How many times did you want to start something new, but your old patterns pulled you back? How many opportunities came to your door, but the fear you inherited from your past whispered, don't open it. It's safer in here. You are not fighting the world. You are fighting yourself, your doubt, your hesitation, your comfort zone disguised as logic, your old beliefs that once protected you, but now imprison you. Napoleon Hill discovered something profound while studying the greatest achievers of his time. Every person who transformed their life first had to transform their internal identity. Not their skills, not their network, not their circumstances, their identity. Because your identity controls your decisions. Your decisions shape your habits, and your habits create your destiny. And here is the painful truth most people avoid. You cannot become a new person while clinging to the thoughts, fears, and behaviors of the old one. Growth is not about adding more to your life. Growth is about letting go of everything that keeps you small. Once you understand that your greatest battle is internal, you begin to notice something strange. There is a ceiling above your life, a ceiling no one else can see, a ceiling you didn't even know you created. It is not made of concrete. It is not made of circumstances. It is not made of other people's opinions. It is made of your own beliefs. Every fear you never questioned, every limit you accepted as truth, every story you told yourself about who you are becomes another layer of that ceiling. And here's the shocking part. Most people never grow, not because they lack potential, but because they never challenge the ceiling they built with their own thoughts. Napoleon Hill called this phenomenon the self-imposed limitation. The idea that you can trap yourself inside a mental prison without even realizing you're the one holding the key. Think about how many times you said to yourself, "I'm not good enough. It's too late. I don't deserve better. This is just who I am." With every sentence, you lower the ceiling a little more until you have just enough space to survive, but not enough space to grow. But here's the truth Hill wanted the world to understand. You will never rise higher than the beliefs you hold about yourself. You can dream big. You can plan big. You can desire a new life with every cell in your body. But if the identity inside you still thinks small, your life will remain small. Because life does not respond to what you want. Life responds to who you are. And until you outgrow the beliefs that built that ceiling, you will always feel the weight of something invisible pulling you back down. There is a moment in every person's journey where they finally push against that invisible ceiling. And it hurts. Not physically, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. Because growth has a cost, and it is always collected before the transformation happens. Napoleon Hill believed that every great achievement must be paid for in advance, not with money, but with discomfort. And this is where most people quit, because to grow, you must lose things you've been attached to for years. You will lose old habits that once gave you comfort. You will lose excuses that protected your ego. You will lose relationships that kept you small. You will lose beliefs that made you feel safe. And the scariest part of all, you will lose the version of yourself that you've known your whole life. That loss feels like death, but it is actually birth, because you cannot step into your future while dragging the dead weight of your past. Hill used to say, most people want change, but very few are willing to endure the process of becoming someone new. That process is uncomfortable because it demands honesty. It forces you to face your patterns, your weaknesses, your fears. It reveals the truth that the only thing standing between you and a better life is you. And yet, this pain is sacred, because pain is the signal that the old identity is breaking and the new one is trying to emerge. It is the contraction before birth, the darkness before dawn, the chaos before order. You are not being punished. You are being rebuilt. Once you survive the discomfort of transformation, you step into the most important phase of growth, becoming the version of yourself your future demands. See, people think success is something you chase, but Napoleon Hill discovered something far more profound. Success is something you attract by becoming the person capable of holding it. You don't rise to your goals. You rise to your standard. And your standards rise when your identity rises. Every time you break a weakness, every time you silence a doubt, every time you choose discipline over comfort, You strengthen the identity of the person you are becoming. And slowly, you start to notice something strange. Things that once scared you no longer do. Doors that once stayed shut begin to open. Opportunities that once ignored you start seeking you. Why? Because the old you couldn't handle them, but the new you can. The world responds differently when your energy, your mindset, and your identity rise to a higher level. This is why outgrowing yourself is not a luxury. It is a requirement. You cannot stay who you are and reach the life designed for who you are meant to become. Your old self was built by survival. Your new self must be built by intention. And when these two versions of you finally separate, something powerful happens. Your life begins to move. Not slowly, but suddenly, as if the universe was waiting the whole time for you to stop gripping the person you used to be. Because the moment you outgrow your old identity, your old reality can no longer contain you. In the end, the journey of growth is not a straight line. It is a series of quiet awakenings, moments where you finally admit to yourself that the life you desire cannot be lived by the person you used to be. There comes a day when you look in the mirror and you no longer recognize the excuses, the fears, the doubts that kept you small. They feel foreign now. They feel borrowed. They feel like shadows of someone you no longer wish to be. And that's when you understand something profound. You were never stuck. You were simply attached. Attached to old beliefs. Attached to old habits. Attached to a version of yourself that survived, yes, but never truly lived. Napoleon Hill taught that every person has two selves, the self they were given and the self they must create. The first happens by accident. The second happens by choice. And life only begins when you choose the second. Because growth is not a reward. It is a responsibility. No one will do it for you. No book, no mentor, no opportunity can save you if you are unwilling to shed the identity that was built in moments of fear. You owe it to your future to stop shrinking for a past that no longer represents who you are becoming. Remember this: you cannot hold on to who you were and reach the greatness meant for who you are meant to be. At some point, you must release the version of you that lived in survival mode so you can rise into the version that lives in purpose. And maybe, just maybe, this video is the sign you've been waiting for. A reminder that your next chapter requires a new identity, new standards, and a new commitment to yourself. So if you're listening to this right now, this is your moment. The moment you declare to yourself and to the world, I choose to outgrow the person I once was. Write it in the comments as a promise to your future. I am outgrowing who I used to be and stepping into who I was meant to become.